everybody. My name is Vladan Jevremovic. I'm a research director at IBWave, and we are an RF design and planning software OEM. And today we'll talk about challenges in modeling campuses. So when you think about a campus, you usually think about a building, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and you have to provide a service to that building. And then there is usually stuff in between the buildings which also needs coverage. So that's basically the broadest term to explain what a campus means. So what would be a challenge when you are supposed to be providing RF planning and design for those buildings and also the area in between buildings? Well, think about that. Usually for buildings, you have CAD files, and you're going to import those CAD files into whatever RF design and planning tool you have, and then from there on, you're going to start building your Wi-Fi network. There is not going to be much of modeling, if any, in that case. It is pretty much automated. So the real challenge is, Keith, can you turn on the timer? Thank you.
Go ahead. I got it.
And the real challenge is actually to model the areas in between buildings. Usually what you have there are trees and maybe lamp posts. A lot of stuff that really you cannot rely CAD files to just bring it up for you. So today I'm going to be talking about the biggest challenge of them all, which is to model a park, which comprises of a lot of stuff like an amphitheater, most likely, maybe some body of water like a pond, and many trees, multiple types of trees. So to that end, I will share with you this one file that we have prepared, and this is typically what you can get about of requests for modeling of park beforehand. If you're lucky, you're going to get a location of that park, which you can get from various types of software that will give you a plan, a street view, or a plan of that park, just an overview. And maybe in Google Images, you will find some nice pictures of that park. So in this case, let's say it's a campus. You need to model buildings around this park, and then also the park in itself. And if you look at the pictures, you will see that there are various types of trees. And you have palm trees. Those palms are very tall, but most of it is a trunk, only a little bit of leaves. And these are so tall that most likely wherever you put your AP is going to be lower than these leaves. So most likely this will not affect your coverage. But then there is other types of trees that have smaller leaves, and they change. In the wintertime, there are no leaves, most likely, and then in the summertime there will be, and they are different heights. So you need to model them, and you probably would want to model every single one of them in that park in order to be very realistic, to get a very good idea as to what coverage is going to look like. So what you would start with is this, which is really depressing because you have nothing. But then, slowly but surely, you're going to think, okay, maybe I can find something like this, which is basically a street view of streets in that park. And by the way, this park is in Mexico City, so you will see those names in Spanish. So you can get something like this from the internet. And then the next thing that you can get is the images, which basically gives you a better idea as to where the trees are and where the buildings are. You can see now quite clearly how those outlines of the trees look like from the overview. It's like a drone was flying over it. And you can see other stuff. You can see, for example, this amphitheater, which has seating area, and then there are some other areas that are in there, like for example, this open area toward the end of the park, and various streets in the middle of the park, and so on and so forth. So your next order of business is to start making objects, and they are really called walls in our tool. So I'm going to remove the image so you can get a better idea as to what it really is. So you see, as I said, as you fly a drone over the park, you will see those outlines of the trees. So you basically need to construct a tree, and what you are seeing here is essentially each individual tree that is defined by the bottom height above floor, which is where the leaves start, and then the top height above the floor, which is 14 meters. They're all in metric units. Between 5 and 14 meters height is where the leaves are. So basically your trunk is from 0 to 5. And what you need to do is you need to have a penetration loss and reflection defined for both. So here you see at 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, we have defined the penetration loss and for this particular type of leaves. So different types of leaves and different trees will have a different penetration loss. So what you have seen here right now is one of those deciduous trees, but if you click on this, you will see that those are palm trees, and a picture is a little bit different, and it has a different transmission loss. It has also a different height. As I have pointed out when we were looking into the park, basically the palms are really tall, but don't have, most of it is just the trunk. And the leaves are at the very top. And that is really what you're seeing here, only from 11 meters to 15 are palm leaves. And then there are trunks. So if you double-click on this, you will see a trunk for a palm tree, and you define that trunk height from 0 to 12 meters. So from 0 to 12, you have a trunk, and from 11 to 15, you have palm leaves. So that's how you define a palm tree. The other type can also be defined. There, I have already told you that leaves are defined from 5 to 10, and then if you double-click at the center, you will see the bark type, and you also will see that it goes from 0 to 6 meters. So you basically, this is a long and job that has to be repeated. As you see, there are many trees, but basically what is really nice about all this, when you are done, you will see something like this, which is your park. And with many, many trees, and I'm going to go in and point out that as you see different types of trees, as I promised, these are palm trees, and the others are different type of deciduous tree. That's okay. I was counting on this reaction, as a matter of fact. In a text file? So you see, okay, so the next question is going to be, how many hours did it take you to do this, right? Well, we have a person who actually specializes in modeling various environments in our company, and it took her 14 hours. So if you are not an expert in this, then I guess it probably is going to be a bit longer, maybe like 20, maybe 25, I'm not quite sure. But it looks really nice. And if you squint, you're going to see here what we are looking for, which is your transmitter. You see that thing right here? That is your transmitter. I'm going to now show you the heat maps, and this guy is blasting all willy-nilly in 360. And then we're going to take a look to see how was the job that he did at 5 gigahertz. And I need to, let's see, layers, prediction. Okay. Okay, so this is the distance, the whole park is about 670 meters, and that is close to 2,200 feet. I'm going to now zoom out, so you will see how it looks like the whole of the park. Now, this thing that does not have much coverage is actually the area where you have inclined surface. I'm going to show you in 3D. This is that amphitheater I was telling you about, which is really neat because you see that it does matter how you're going to properly model the surfaces. Even that area that doesn't seem, as too much of a trouble as coverage-wise, has this poor coverage, the blue in the heat map. And I have 30 more seconds to show you how that looks in 3D. So this is the area which is the amphitheater, but I need to remove the inclined surface because the coverage is underneath, you see. So basically, I have the transmitter which is around here, and because of that incline that goes downwards, I have a poor coverage right there, which you normally would not be able to see if you were not able to do a modeling on the inclined surface. And then once you're done with this, congratulate yourself, then all it's need to be done is to install APs in those buildings around, providing that you are interested in providing services in those buildings. And having said that, I'm open to questions.